finally filming this video. I've been wanting to make this video for so long because these piles have been staring at me in my room and I just want to dive into them. I literally feel like I am playing Jenga when I set all of these up. Oh my god, no. My TBR list is turning into a Jenga game, and that's when you know it is just getting way too large. I think the biggest section of my TBR list includes fall reads and thrillers. I think I have 25 thrillers here, so if you follow me on TikTok, I posted a full list of every single thriller on my TBR list, as well as a separate cozy fall TBR list. This is all of them combined. Every single book that gives fall vibes, witchy, spooky Halloween vibes, thriller vibes, dark academia. Actually, do I have a dark academia book? I almost forgot more books. Please hold. I would have been so sad if I forgot to include the books that were downstairs. I've added the 5 books that I almost forgot to include, which would have made me so sad because they are so exciting, but they were downstairs in my September haul pile. Anytime I purchase a book throughout the month, I put it into a specific pile on my table so that at the end of the month, I know which books to include in that monthly book haul. But that brings our total up to, I believe, 27 thrillers and 17 cozy fall themed autumnal books that I think are perfect to read in the fall time. So I think I have 44 books. Obviously, I know this is an insane amount of books, and I just pulled everything from my TBR list that I felt would be good to read in the fall time. However, I will not be getting to all of these books, and I know that. But I am a huge mood reader, so any book that I do choose will be coming from these piles, depending on what book I'm in the mood for. But I really just wanted to organize my TBR list and separate all of the fall books and all of the thrillers, and that's what today's video is. So here's my insanely huge, massive, overly ambitious fall TBR list, featuring all of the thrillers, cozy fall vibes, witchy, spooky mysteries, wizards and warlocks and vampires, a little bit of academia and dark academia, just anything that screamed fall. Let's get started. I mentioned it already, but I do also make book content on TikTok, so definitely check it out and follow if you're into book talk, and follow my bookstagram, Booking It with Mac, if you're into it as well. I'm trying to hit my next goal over there, so definitely follow. All of these books will be categorized in their own list on my Amazon storefront, so if you want to browse every single book in a shoppable way, check out my Amazon storefront linked below. I do highly encourage shopping locally at independent bookstores or at thrift stores. However, I know that Amazon does have some pretty good deals on books, and if you prefer to order your books online like that, I've just made it easier. I do also have a list of all of my favorite bookish items on my Amazon storefront, and just a ton of other categorized book lists to follow if you are into that. I'm going to leave all of my other book related videos down below in their booktube playlist, but I also do make vlogs, vintage hauls. I have an online vintage antique store, so I talk about that a lot here. I also do sell blind dates with a book on my Etsy shop. None of those books are for my personal collection. I could never part with my own books that I've read, but it is a really fun side business thing that I do. So if you want to receive a blind date with a book, which is basically just a mystery book with a ton of bookish accessories, definitely check it out. I think I want to start with the cozy fall books first and then save all of the thrillers for last because I have so many of them, and those are the really spooky, nail-biting, edge of your seat thriller books, obviously. Some of these fall books I've had for almost a year that I've been waiting until the fall time to read, so I'm just so excited that it is finally fall. Cozy nights in with warm candles lit, it's all so cozy and just the perfect environment for reading. And I have been saving these books, some of these books that I've had for a year, for the fall time. Sorry that intro was so freaking long. Here's every single book on my fall TBR list, starting with a very common, popular one that everybody always says to read in the fall time, Ashley Poston, The 7-Year Slip. I'm not going to talk too much about these plots because I want to get through every single book efficiently and quickly, but this I've heard is a really good transitional book to read when you are transitioning from summer beach reads to fall reads, and the cover alone definitely gives off fall vibes. If you like a romance story with a little bit of magical realism, I haven't read this yet, but I feel confident enough to recommend this for the fall time, and this will be probably the first book that I read on this fall TBR list. I actually don't know how fall themed this next one is, but to me it feels very fall. The Last Bookshop by Evie Woods, or Evie Woods. I think this also deals with a little bit of magical realism, which any book with magical realism I think I've put on this list. This deals with a vanishing bookshop in England. I don't know much about it, but I do love books about books, or books about librarians and things like that, and I think this will have a lot of it. Someone recently in my life told me that they read this and enjoyed it, so I'm excited to read it soon. This next book I have been wanting to read for a couple of months because I watched the Apple TV show of it, and I loved the show so much that it made me want to read this book, even though I've never really been into science fiction, sci-fi, just really isn't for me. I get confused a lot reading those books. Dark Matter though by Blake Crouch, because I obsessively binged the TV show and really loved the show and how they depicted it, I feel like it will help me understand the book, and obviously the book must be amazing if Apple TV picked it up to begin with to turn into a show. So if you aren't already gravitating toward this book, I would actually recommend watching the show, because that's what made me want to read this book. The concept is crazy cool. I got really into the show, so I'm excited to read this. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to talk too much about that plot. This next book HarperCollins sent to me, and it is just screaming fall spooky-ish vibes. It deals a little bit with Frankenstein too, so again, perfect time of year. It's the newly released Our Hideous Progeny. This plot sounds amazing. Now, I'm a huge fan of the classic Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I love the lore, I love the backstory on how it was written, and all of the motifs and themes that play out through that book. Like, I was a geek in high school, I'm not even kidding. I loved English class, I loved all my English teachers, I loved writing essays. There's a reason why I have degrees in English and creative writing. But Frankenstein was one of my favorites for so many reasons, and so many things that plot did and did well. So what's super cool is this is about the great niece of Victor Frankenstein, and the cover alone, it's so beautiful. It sounds like the perfect thing to read. I won't read the whole back, but it does say it is a tale of ambition and obsession, forbidden love and sabotage, and a twisty gothic adventure that may forever change your view of human nature. I cannot wait. This next book I just bought up north in Grand Marais, so you may have seen it in that 24-hour reading challenge video that I posted, because I hauled this up there. But I bought the Encyclopedia of Fairies. I also got a free little bookmark from the indie bookstore up there, so that's why that was sticking out, but to protect it, I'll just tuck it in. I don't know much about this. I just know a few people that have read this and enjoyed it and would recommend it, and that's all that I needed to give it a chance. I also loved the cover, and I love fairies. I was actually a fairy at the Ren Fair this year, if you've seen that short TikTok reel, whatever it is. Does it look like there's room for a cat up here? Anyway, this is also book one in part of a series, so if I enjoy it, I will definitely continue the series. I've got a couple of lighter, fluffier, either YA or just like quick palette cleanser types of reads that were super popular a few years ago that I purchased and saved for this season. I have My Roommate is a Vampire. I don't know. I think this is just like a light YA book, but I'm here for it. It kind of reminds me, can you not chew on my books? Thank you. It kind of reminds me of those children's books, that one series that was like, my gym teacher is a werewolf and my teacher is a vampire. You know what I'm talking about? I can't think of, like, the swimming coach is a ghost. They all had like spooky themes like that. This reminds me of it. My Roommate is a Vampire. This is a romantic comedy. You know what? You're actually on theme, Marnie, having a black cat, although she's gonna blend into my tank top. Oh, she's also gonna knock over all of these book piles. I also have The Hex by Erin Sterling. So Erin Sterling also writes underneath the name Rachel Hawkins. I also recently found out that if you have a pen name that you've created, you can only use that name with the current publisher that published those books. Like, that publisher owns the rights to that name. So if she did go to a different publisher for these books, which I don't know off the top of my head, that could also be a reason why she chose a different name. I also just think it's a really smart tool for like marketing. I'm not sure if either one is her real name. This will be my first Erin Sterling book by her. This plot is about someone that like accidentally places a curse on her ex, or a hex on her ex. It has a larger font, so I think it's going to be a pretty quick, cozy, spooky read. Another October read for sure. Like the witches and vampires and stuff and Frankenstein and fairies, that's all gonna be read in October. Look at her chewing on the corners of my books. and purring nonetheless. Okay, anyway, I also have The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic. I love this cover. I think it's a beautiful book. I don't know much about this one, although I remember last year a lot of people were encouraging people to read it. It says it's for fans of Practical Magic and Gilmore Girls. It's described as a warm, witchy novel, and I'm here for it. This next one I probably will read in November. I don't know, it just feels like a November read to me, and I think it's because I saw this movie last Thanksgiving, so now it just feels like a Thanksgiving book and story to me. But it is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This movie made me want to read all of the books. I saw this movie in theaters last year, like I mentioned, and I loved it so much. Now, I saw the Hunger Games movies like as they premiered casually, but I was never really into the fan base, the lore, all of that. Watching this movie last year, obsessed. Couldn't look away, didn't blink, jaw on the floor. I loved it so much. I think I just love a prequel. I love learning about how things became how they are, and that did such a great job at capturing what the Hunger Games itself was. It made me want to learn more. It made me want to read the book to see what they left out. As soon as I walked out of that movie, wanted to read this book, but the problem was I hadn't read any of the other books yet, and I know you don't need to, but I am someone that just can't do that. So as soon as I saw the movie last year, I read the 3 books and haven't picked this one up yet. This next book is also one that I just bought at I think it's called Drury Lane Bookshop. It's up in Grand Marais. I got it again in that 24-hour reading challenge video that I filmed. Shop locally, support your independent bookstores. Like whenever I go in, I feel like I have to buy something. The bookstore was so small, like tiny little house, that they only had 1 copy of books in a shelf. So I went twice, like the first day we arrived and the day we were leaving, because we were driving through that town, and they restocked a little bit. But like I said, they just have 1 copy of these books out. So I'm so glad that I found this. It is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. This feels like the game Clue, but with a really cool, like magical twist. It's kind of really hard to explain. So I'm just going to read parts of this because I feel like it is complicated. It says, Evelyn Hardcastle will be murdered at 11 p.m. There are 8 days and 8 witnesses for you to inhabit. We will only let you escape once you tell us the name of the killer. Basically, every single day the protagonist is in like the body of one of the suspects. Some of them are more helpful than others, and he just lives out this day over and over again in like a different version of that reality to try to solve this mystery. So it's a whodunit, but with a really cool twist. It's definitely like Agatha Christie coded. There's a blurb on the back that says it's a kaleidoscopic mystery. It sounds so cool, and I love the aesthetic of this cover. Again, a book that just feels spooky, thriller, mystery, whodunit, fall vibes. I have a dark academia next, and I just got it sent to me from the author AJ Wynn. AJ Wynn sent over her new release. Well, actually, when I'm filming this, it hasn't even come out yet. This comes out October 1st, The Other Side. This is a dark academia romance mystery, and it takes place at like a prestigious preparatory school. I believe it follows 2 teachers that are investigating a decades-old mystery at the school. I really enjoyed her first debut book that she sent me a couple months ago, Willowbrook, so I'm super excited to see where she takes this plot. I am just so excited to get into this book. She was also super kind and sent over a ton of accessories and goodies in her PR box, including a matching bookmark, which is always like my favorite part. Oh my god, I almost forgot to mention, but it's also signed. So I'm very excited to check this out. Definitely support independent authors as well. So I'll leave her Amazon link to this book down below if you want to pre-order it or order it. We can tandem read it together this fall. The next one is a true story. I've talked about it in a couple other recent videos, but it is the Astronaut Wives Club, and it's about the wives of the astronauts that went up to space for the first time in the late 50s. My favorite part that I love about true stories is when they include pictures of the events. And like I mentioned already, I do love learning the history of how something came to be. I love books that are based on true stories or are true stories. I am just so excited to read this, and for some reason it just felt like a fall book. I think because of the fact that it is a true story, and it will be like a bit of a history lesson to me. So history lesson, history class, school, back to school season, September. the Astronaut Wives Club. To be honest, oh my gosh. Hi, Marnie. To be honest, I'm not sure how excited I am for this next one. It had its moment. I know a lot of people enjoyed it. I've read a book by this next author before and I actually didn't enjoy the other book. So I don't know why I have this. I just found it thrifting, I think, and was like, well, a lot of people liked it, so I might as well try it. The Midnight Library. I'm pretty sure you like enter the books in this library, like the protagonist goes into these books. But it deals with magical realism and it takes place at midnight. So automatic fall TBR list. I'm so excited for this next one. I found this thrifting last winter, but it just felt like a fall/winter book, so I haven't gotten to it yet, but 'tis the season. The Last of the Moon Girls by Barbara Davis. I love the cover. I love that moon is in the title. I love that it's on a farm called Moon Farm. The first sentence on the back. Lizzie Moon never wanted Moon Girl Farm. Her name is Moon and she lives on Moon Girl Farm. She wants to sell the farm and move to New York, but I think Lizzie has like magical special gifts. All of the moon women who came before her. As somebody that is so obsessed with the moon and everything that the moon has given me, like, man, it's actually a full moon when I'm filming this video. It's the partial lunar eclipse. I feel the magic, I feel the energy, I feel the spark, I feel the manifestation and the spark of this full moon. I think that's why I'm trying to film as many videos as I can film today. I feel like this might become one of my favorite books. I have a Kristen Hanna book on this list because in the title alone just sounds like a fall read. It's called Magic Hour, and I've never heard anyone really talk about this book by her. I found this thrifting. I believe this is an older book of hers. From deep within an old-grown forest, a 6-year-old girl appears. So I think our protagonist is just trying to figure out like where this girl came from, what she was doing in the forest, a little bit of a mystery. The blurb on the front says it's one of Hannah's most compelling and riveting novels. And it's not as intimidating in size as some of her like really big, thick books like The Nightingale. So I think it will be a really great second book by Kristen Hanna to read that if I love, it won't be as intimidating to read some of her bigger works, if that makes sense. This next book I also recently just found thrifting. It's called The Immortalists and it sounds so good. I found this at Goodwill a few weeks ago. Just listen to a little bit of this plot. It says, if you knew the date of your death, how would you live your life? It's 1969 in New York City's Lower East Side, and word has spread of the arrival of a mystical woman, a traveling psychic, who claims to be able to tell anyone the day they will die. The prophecies inform their next 5 decades. The Gold Children, 4 adolescents on the cusp of self-awareness, sneak out to hear their fortunes. And it talks about the next 5 decades of these 4 children's lives. I don't want to spoil some of the descriptions of what their life will entail, but it just sounds like such a cool plot. Again, I just love like the magical realism element of stuff like this. So I cannot wait to read this book. And the last book in my like more just fall themed list and not my thriller list is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This, I think the cover just makes me feel like fall. This might become a winter book though, because I think it is more of like a fantasy, but I know a lot of people enjoyed this book. The plot sounds amazing and people have been recommending this to me, especially since I like The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So if they're saying that I have to read this book, I know that there must be something in this book that they know I will like. I already though feel like this might be pushed off to a winter book. I have a couple of fantasy books on my winter TBR list already, and I've never read a full fantasy book before, so we shall see. Those are all of the books that are on just my fall themed TBR list. Moving on to the thrillers though, we have so many to get through. I'm going to start with these smaller like mass paperbacks and kind of just do it according to size with the hardcovers at the bottom. Let's try to rapid fire these because I know this video is already long. I don't know if you can see Marnie. She's on my lap. She's so cute. Allison Brennan's 7 Girls Gone. Let me know if you've read any of these books, and please only say nice things about it. If you see a book that you've read and enjoyed, let me know. I don't know if I want to hear you say that you didn't like a book because it's going to affect my first impression of the book. But I am curious if anyone has read any of these books and if they liked it. I have 2 Lisa Scott, oh wait, I actually have 4 Lisa Scott books, but I have 2 in these smaller sizes. I have Dirty Blonde, as well as What Happened to the Bennetts. This plot sounds so intriguing to me. I remember I almost bought it when it first came out at Target, and luckily I found the copy I have at a thrift store for like $1. So much better deal. I have The Wives by Taryn Fisher. I initially did not buy this book at Goodwill when I found it, and every single comment in that TikTok video was telling me to go back and buy this book. I went back a few weeks later, there was another copy of it. So I feel like it literally found me, and I need to read this because everybody in my TikTok comments really hyped it up. I have a Riley Sager book on my list, the only one left. I'm really excited to read this book by him. I've read The House Across the Lake and Middle of the Night, but I hear that this one is like really, really good. I also recently just purchased The Wife Between Us. I found this one at Goodwill too, and again, the comments in that TikTok were just raving about this book, so I'm excited to read it. Someone did sort of spoil it for me though in a comment. They said that this had like the exact same plot of blank, and I know the plot of that book, so that kind of killed it, because then I was like, oh, is it the same twist? Like, don't tell me that. Just be careful. Yeah, so I was a little bit mad about that. This next one is an ARC, and it doesn't come out until December, so I don't know what it's doing in this pile, because that's not even fall. But for me personally, I should read the ARC. Buried Road by Katie Tallow. This is described as a fast-paced, exciting missing persons thriller. The one thing is I'm scared this might be like a third standalone in a series, because it says that this is the follow-up to another book. So I might have to read the other books first. But another thriller that is in my thriller pile. Oh, what do you do when your face is itchy but you have makeup on? I was filming for the company that I work for. I haven't really talked about that much, but that's why I have makeup on today. I don't really care for my channel, but if I have the makeup on for the other videos that I am sending in for this position that I do, I try to take advantage of that and film when I have makeup on, because this is a rare occurrence. Well, it's a once a week occurrence because it's my filming day for them. Anyway, moving on to this huge pile. Murder in the Family by Kara Hunter. I bought this book a year ago, so I'm disappointed in myself that I haven't read it yet, but I think it's a whodunit. No one saw the killer, but they all saw the body. I can't even see the spines of these books, so I don't know what they are until I pull them down. Ooh, I just thrifted this one too. Girl Last Seen. Let me know if you've read this one. Obviously, it's about a missing girl. The quote on the back says, "Hooked me so quickly I might have whiplash." I recently started a bestie book club with Bennett. I might have to bring this book up for a book that we read. I'll tell you which book we're currently going to read because it's in this pile, but this might be another one that I know she might like. Megan Miranda's The Last to Vanish. I found this in a little free library, but it sounded really good and it's a gripping thriller. Can you not go on my books? Thank you. Marnie heard a noise outside of my window and she wants to go investigate, but you're gonna knock over the camera if you do that. She's not happy with me right now. Local Woman Missing. I've heard a lot of book girlies talk about this book. I think a local woman goes missing. Honestly, the last three books that I just shared, they literally all sound the same. Girl Last Seen, The Last to Vanish, Woman Missing. Can you sense a theme? A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. There is a Netflix show out about this, so I do want to read this first. I think it's gonna be cute. It's a YA mystery, but people have enjoyed the book and the series, so I'm excited to read that. What's up here? Oh my gosh, we're getting into my Frida McFadden books. Never Lie. I bought this last night. Literally picked it up from Target because Target had a buy one, get one 50% off. So this book was like $7. I'm excited to read this in one sitting. Sometimes her books just really hit. This next book I think I'm going to read next because it's September when I'm filming this and I've just been in the mood for this. The Teacher by Frida McFadden. This is her newest release, I believe, but so excited to read that one as well. I have The Woman in Cabin 10. Honestly, I bought this book and then after buying it, I started seeing some like disappointing reviews about it from people in my life, so I'm a little bit hesitant because people said that it just fell flat. Some of the most disliked books that I hear about have been some of my favorite books and vice versa, so you never really know until you read for yourself. The Guilt Trip. This was originally on my summer TBR, but it is a thriller that I didn't get to for, again, the same reason as this one. I posted my summer TBR list and people said that this book wasn't worth it, so it didn't make me want to read it, but I will eventually because I bought it, and that's how my brain works. Like, if I bought the book, I'm gonna read it. I have, I think, 3 Lisa Jewell books on this TBR list. I've read 4 Lisa Jewell books and I really, really love her writing and her mysteries and thrillers. So I'm excited to read every single book that she's written, not even joking. I have Then She Was Gone still on my Lisa Jewell TBR list. They all like kind of have the same plot, but I'm excited for all of them. The Night She Disappeared as well. Some of these like girl missing plots literally all sound the same in the title. Like, I would predict that these have the same plot, even though I know they don't. And then I also have Watching You by Lisa Jewell as well. This one is a little bit smaller than the others. The blurbs on the back make this sound so good. AJ Finn has one, a Seize You by the Throat thriller. Choke me. Okay, I just found this next one at Goodwill recently. She Was the Quiet One, a riveting, suspenseful tale of love, hate, and murder. I'm here for it. Sounds great. Okay, this next book on my list is what my best friend and I have picked out for our book club. We just started it, it's just her and me, but I got her into reading. She ordered one of my blind dates with a book, and then the book that I gave her, she loved so much, I got her into reading again. Best news ever. She's at the start of her reading journey. It might come as no surprise that I have been recommending a lot of Colleen Hoover to her just to get her into the thrill of wanting to read. I feel like Coho is a very common pipeline to new readers that want to get hooked and are reading really easy books to get into. And yeah, it's what got me back into reading fiction for fun. I was only reading like classic literature and nonfiction and memoirs and self-improvement books until Colleen Hoover. So I gave her the same pipeline and it worked. Yay. She just finished Verity, so I recommended Colleen Hoover's other thriller for our book club, Too Late. I was actually watching a YouTuber that I keep up with, and she read this for, I think, her book club. She said she didn't like it at first, and then she said once she got into it, it was actually getting good. I don't know. You know how Colleen Hoover is, but she was like, no guys, I actually think I like this book now. So I'm excited. It says this is a psychological suspense novel of obsession and dangerous love. I don't know. I don't want to read the back, but this is our first bestie book club pick, so if you want to read along, feel free. I have 2 Claire McIntosh books. The first one is Hostage, and this is about a plane hostage, but I have heard really great things about this book. I have 2 more Lisa Scottoline books. Think Twice, which is about one twin that unalives the other twin, so definitely a dark plot. And then Look Again. It says it's a heart-pounding thriller. Basically, a mom sees a missing child on a milk carton and notices that the missing child looks exactly like the boy that she adopted. So I think the boy she adopted was stolen. Very, very interested in that plot though. So I've got those 2 Lisa Scottoline books. And then the other Claire McIntosh book that I have on this list is A Game of Lies. This is a summer thriller that I did not get to this summer, but it's still on my thriller list. We'll see if I get to it this fall. I'm not like gravitating toward it, but it's a thriller, and every thriller that I own is in this list. And then I just got this like a week ago, Girls Like Us. This thriller also sounds so good. And the final thriller on my list here is none other than The Silent Patient. I've heard so many things about this book. I have immense FOMO that I don't understand and haven't read this book yet. I can't wait to read it. But now you know, that was every single thriller that I have on my TBR list, and this was every single book on my fall TBR list. So not saying that I'm trying to read all of these books, I'm just saying that the books that I am choosing to read this fall will 99.9% probably be chosen from this selection. But definitely let me know some of the books that are on your fall TBR list, just in case I need to add even more. Just kidding, but like, I am curious. And if you've read any of these books, which ones you would recommend the most that I should start with. Thank you so much though for watching until the end. You obviously like book content if you're still here, so please check out my book talk and bookstagram. And like I mentioned, all of these are available linked below, but I want time to read today, so I'm gonna get going, and I'll see you real soon in my next video. Bye!